Hi everybody, it's Casey from Upcycled Island. So welcome to part 2 of Upcycling Jeans, and we're going to make a little purse from the back pockets of the jeans that we cut up. I used both pockets, and because we kept this excess fabric at the top that was just underneath the yoke of the back of those jeans, we're going to be able to make a double pocket bag. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to straighten out this portion of the extra fabric that is atop the pocket. This one turned out pretty straight. I have a little measurer. This is I call it a hemmer. And so it's pretty even, but for some reason, this one not so much. So I need to just even that out a little bit. And what I'm going to do is take my hemmer and move this up until this part reaches the top of the pocket. And then the top of this is at the top of the extra fabric. And this is the narrowest part of that piece, so that's why I'm starting there. So I want that to be the same all the way across. So I'm just going to take a pin and mark all the way across. Now you can do this if you don't have a hemmer. You can do this with a regular ruler. You can cut a piece of cardboard and put some markings on it. You don't have to have a fancy tool. If you're just starting out, you're going to accumulate your tools over time. But this hemmer is a pretty handy thing to have. So I would put it perhaps in my list of tools to obtain, sort of at the top of the list. Now I'm just going to cut this across my marks. And I'm cutting my marks off so that ink is going to be gone. It's not visible at all. And I'm going to do that to the same. This one is more even, but it's wider. And I want it to be about the same width as this one. So I'm just going to do the same thing, measure and mark, and then I'll cut along those marks like we did before. This is just so it will be even on both sides, so it won't look lopsided. We're cutting across our marks. So these look pretty much the same. Now, what we're going to do is take the two pockets and put them right sides together. So I'm going to put this pocket. This is the front of the pocket. This is the front of the pocket. Those two are together. And match them up so the edges of the pocket match up on both sides. And then I'm going to pin it. Okay, we're going to go to the sewing machine and sew this together. Alrighty, here we are at the machine. I'm going to put this under the machine. I have the pocket lined up. I'm going to put this under the machine, and the foot, I have a narrow foot, is lined up against where the pocket is. You can feel it on the other side. So I'm just going to lower the foot and lower the needle and sew along that line. I have my stitch length at 2.5. I hold my thread tails when I start out. Back stitch to lock the stitches. And all I'm doing is following that edge of the pocket that's on the other side. Now it's wanting to shift on me, so I'm just going to take a peek, make sure it's lining up, and continue. Check again, it's still lined up, and continue. When I get to the end, the back stitch to lock it, and that's it. My thread matches really well, so you probably can't see that. I use Gutermann thread, all-purpose thread, and it's color number 633, which matches most of my jeans almost perfectly, so my threads don't show at all. But here's what it looks like once it's sewn. We're going to go back to the work table and do the next step. Hi, I just want to remind you to subscribe. Hit the red subscribe button down there until it's grayed out. And also there's a little bell. If you'll hit that bell, whenever I post a new video, you'll be notified. Don't miss out. All right, we have sewn it, and this is what it looks like. Next step is to sew the pockets together. So you want to line up your edges and line up the corners of the bottom of the pocket. And then you're going to pin in the middle. Just like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Line up this corner and then pin in the middle. I don't pin next to the edge because I don't want to be moving pins. I want it to stay just like that. Now on the bottom, I'm going to line up that point and pin. So we're going to be sewing around the pocket all the way around, and we're sewing those two pockets together. There is double stitching on the pocket, and I'm going to be stitching in between that double stitching. I'll have to make sure that my edges stay together and don't shift, because I don't want to be stitching and then miss the back of the pocket, you know, the other pocket, the back there. So just watch your edges as you're sewing. Before we take it in the machine to sew those together, we're going to take care of the strap. We're going to put the strap on, and that will be sewn while we're sewing these two together. Here's where we're going to make some decisions. What kind of strap do we want to use? We could use the seam that we took out of the jean project. When we first started deconstructing those jeans, we took the inside seam out, and we can use that, but I want to use that in another project that we're going to make from those jeans. So what else could we use? We could use the button placket off a shirt. We could use that as the strap. We could use a shoelace, the kind of shoelaces for the high top shoes or boots that are longer. We could use that. I've chosen to use a seam from another pair of jeans, and this is not a flat felt seam. It is simply serged. So it's quite colorful, and it's thinner, so it won't add a whole lot of bulk to the sides of the seams that we're going to make when we sew those two pockets together. This was 2 seams that I sewed together to make one long strap. And I'm going to even that up because one of them's a little longer than the other one. And so that's what I'm going to use to insert in the sides of the pocket. So we have our pocket pinned together, and then at the top of the pocket, just below where all this thickness is going to be, we're going to insert, say, 1 inch of that strap. And then we're just going to pin it. So there you have it. Then we're just going to bring this strap around, being careful not to twist it. And then we're going to insert the other end, about 1 inch of it, in between the pockets on the other side, and pin that. Now we're ready to go to the machine. As I said before, we're going to sew all the way around, and we'll be catching the strap in the side seam while we're sewing. So let's go do that. Okay, we're ready to start sewing our 2 pockets together. I'm putting this underneath the foot, and it's quite thick, so we're having to do some finagling to get it under the foot. Most new machines have a high lift, so you can lift that foot easily. Now, get my thread under there. I'm going to hold my thread tail, and I'm going to take 2 or 3 stitches. I'm going to increase first the stitch length to 3 because I'm going to be dealing with more thickness. And so I choose to use a stitch length of 3. So we're going to take some stitches and then back stitch. So that pocket, that strap, is secure. And then we're going to make sure our edges are lined up and sew in between the 2 stitch lines, that double stitching. Now we're at the corner. You're going to leave your needle down, raise your presser foot, and turn so you can stitch again. Lower your presser foot and then stitch to the point on the bottom of the pocket. Your pocket may be constructed different than mine, so just follow whatever your pattern looks like, the pattern on your pocket. Okay, I've got the needle down, I've raised the presser foot, and I've turned again. And I'm going to sew to this corner, sewing between that double stitching. I've stopped again, raise the presser foot, turn. Make sure my edges are lined up, lower the presser foot, and continue sewing. I'm going to go to the end. I'm going to go ahead and unpin that strap. Get my edges lined up. And go. This is slow. Back stitch. Okay, it is locked and we're ready to raise the needle, raise the presser foot, and pull it out of there. Clip. So we have that. Let me turn it around so you can see the pins, you know what we're doing. So we have it all sewn together. Now, since this is going to be a handbag and we were dealing with lots of bulk, I'm going to do a second set of stitches because I believe there is a Murphy's Law, which states if anything can go wrong, it will. And I am all for defeating Murphy's Law. So I am going to do another line of stitching, this time right on the other side, on the inside of this stitch, of this double stitch. We've got to finagle again. Now we don't have to worry about doing it toward at the top where that thickness is because we did a lot of double stitching there. So we're just going to start here. The reason I do this is that the worst thing that can happen is that something comes unstitched and you lose your valuables. So I double stitch just almost everything that I sew when I make handbags for that reason. Okay, we've locked the stitch and we're just going to go right beside that stitch all the way around. And this will give you practice on turning corners. The needle is down. Lift the presser foot, lower the presser foot, go again. This is very good practice. Okay, we are done. We're going to go back to the work table and have a look. Okay, you have finished project number 1 from the jeans that we deconstructed last time. And here is your purse. You now have a 2-pocket bag. So you can keep your phone in one side, your lipstick and cash and cards in the other. You can go to your art fair or wherever you don't want to carry a big heavy purse. You have a nice little bag to carry. We've made the handle long enough so you can carry it crossbody or on your shoulder, whichever you choose. If you want to carry it on your shoulder and you find it's too long, wonderful thing about these straps, you just tie a knot in it and that shortens your strap. You're going to have some fraying on your strap. That's very in right now. That's right on trend, so enjoy the fray. And enjoy your little bag. Congratulations, you've made your first project. Your first upcycling project from jeans. We have another project for you after this one. I'll see you next time. Stay safe.